Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by author, speaker, and entrepreneur Brian Highfield, who educates healthcare professionals and consumers on optimizing their health with emerging natural health technologies. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you, Seth. Glad to be here.
All right, let's go back in time a little bit. I know you weren't always a emerging natural health technology expert. What did you do before this? How'd you get started?
Well, as most people, it's a long, windy path to end up where you are today. But for many years, I was a strategist for a very large communications company. I was self-proclaimed IT nerd, so I really helped them develop their strategy around IT systems. But at the same time, I had a passion for sports, and particularly volleyball. I played in college.
Wow.
And naturally, I started a sports business on the side, which grew up into a very large, booming business. And the natural progression from sports was into health and wellness. And so that's what led me into looking at healthcare technology. Being that geeky nerd engineer type, I really dug into the health and wellness space to figure out what was actually scientifically proven and what was just rumors and hogwash out there, to really differentiate the two, and making sure that people knew what was actually proven to work and that it was available to them and to take it. Because it really takes, from when a discovery is made, it really takes about 50 years to actually get into the world, into commonplace, common knowledge. And
so you said 50 is in 50.
50 years. So all the healthcare breakthroughs that are happening today, we won't hear about them for another 40 to 50 years out. Well, I don't know about you, but I may not be around in 40 to 50 years.
Although magically they've come up with a vaccine for COVID in like a year and a half.
Right. Right. And so I want to take advantage of anything that can benefit my health that they're finding out today. I want to take advantage of that right now. I can't wait.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little bit, because that was a lot of, I'm sure there's a much longer history there that you summarized for us. So talk about the sports. What was the sports business? How did it start?
I played volleyball in college, and I opened the newspaper one day and I saw that my hometown needed a volleyball coach. And so I went to the local high school, and they were desperate for anybody to coach kids sports at that time. And so I began a career as a coach, and I developed that into a business because kids are really, when they're really into a sport, they want to play it year round. And so we developed a program where kids can play volleyball year round instead of just the 2 months of their school season. And there was such a huge demand for that. I mean, we grew from 5 volleyball teams to 9 the next year to 23 the next year. And now we're the largest in the state of Ohio.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible. So when you say sports business, that's an understatement. I mean, you started one heck of a league program type thing. I'm sure there's a better term for it that I don't know. So you did that, and then that got you obviously interested into health and wellness and peak performance. Talk about your trip down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, because when you're dealing with high level athletes, we're talking about kids that go on and play Division I college. They are at an optimal level. I mean, when you see them perform in person, the first word out of your mouth is just wow. And so when you look at what kids' diet consists of, and gosh, I'll just throw in everybody for just let's face it, we all struggle eating very in a healthy manner. We struggle with that. It's for whatever reason, we all struggle with that. And so some of these breakthrough technologies that I mentioned before are now becoming available and make it a little bit more simple, because staying healthy is hard. Let's say it takes hard work. Exercising every day, eating healthy every day, that takes a commitment. It's a lot of work. But some of these breakthrough technologies are making it a little bit more simple, because we can replace some of these things with just some simple healthy nutrition that are packed into nutrient-laden pills.
Okay, so that is amazing. So yes, it is definitely much more conscious effort and work to work out every day and to be mindful and thoughtful about the foods and stuff you put in your body. And obviously there are multi-billion-dollar industries trying to convince us not to do those things. So how does what you're doing, how does that make our lives and the goal of eating healthier easier?
Well, so like I said, it's tough. It's tough to stay healthy, eat healthy foods all the time, to exercise all the time. Those things are important. So I'm not going to say those are not important. They're still needed. But for most of us, we struggle keeping up with that routine. And so what has emerged is this whole field called nutrigenomics. And it's all about using natural compounds to positively influence our DNA and positively express our DNA. What I've learned is that 98% of disease and dysfunction out there has nothing to do with your genes. Most people think, oh my gosh, my great aunt had this disease and I'm predisposed to this, so I'm probably going to get that. And most of the time, only 2% of the diseases and dysfunctions are actually passed down from our ancestors through our DNA. Everything else has to do with what's called epigenetics, which is the layer above our DNA and how we can express those different genes. So this nutrigenomic field is new and exciting because we can take specific natural compounds, we know what they are, and actually activate these pathways that flip our genes on and off like switches and positively express them so that our whole body can benefit in a healthy manner.
Okay,
so it's a much simple method.
The timing couldn't be better, obviously, with Corona and COVID, all that stuff going on. And there are no accidents. I literally just read a book called The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, where he talked about how you could literally take somebody who has every gene for cancer, but they'll never get cancer. And that the people, we're not giving medical advice on this show, but that like the people who are getting preemptive mastectomies because they think they have a genetic marker thanks to 123andMe or whatever it is, are literally doing something totally unnecessary because our genes are actually inactive. The DNA doesn't do anything until we flip the switch and say, yes, give me cancer. And all of that is through the stimulus of what goes on, the environment, the diet, the stress, all of that other stuff. So number one, I just made a couple notes that we need to get you booked on some other podcasts we produce that have relevant audiences for what you're talking about. And number two, talk a little bit about how what you're doing helps prevent the bad gene switch from flipping.
Right. So it's about positive gene expression. And again, you have to use the right nutrients to do that. When you do some of the bad things, like smoking, for example, will express your genes, but in a negative way. But eating some healthy phytonutrients, particularly some very specific plant extracts that can actually activate these pathways, flip the switches to the more positive mode, on or off, and express those genes to where we can actually improve the health of every cell inside of our body. And so we do that with specific targeted patented products. These have been scientifically proven. Dozens and dozens of independent university studies have shown that this does work, but it's not widely known yet. Like I said, these were just discovered in the past 10, 15 years. So it's going to be another 30, 40 years before they really become widely known. And like I said, I want to take advantage of that now. It's available, and it is available. Absolutely.
And we appreciate you sharing them with our audience. So better than a lot of people. I mean, we have, what is it, 80% huge obesity epidemic in our country, which COVID probably made worse because we were all stuck home.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got things like, if you look at top 3, top 5 causes of death, most of them are all based on human behavior that are avoidable. But yet we don't do the things that we know would work. No one goes to McDonald's thinking it's health food, right? Everybody knows it's bad, but they still sell billions a day. So why do you think that is? Talk a little bit about the psychology of our public, where we're making those choices that we know are going to kill us sooner or later.
And that's really our mission here today, is to improve the mindset of people right now, because especially here in the US, we spend the most per capita on healthcare, but yet we have a lower life expectancy than some underdeveloped countries. Russia and Brazil have a better life expectancy and a better death rate than the US, and it has nothing to do with COVID. This is pre-COVID.
Right.
And so why is that? Why is we have the most resources in any nation? We should have the most technology and knowledge. And what it comes down to, and you said it, it's mindset. It's people's understanding and believing of myths. For example, there's a myth that the doctor is always going to fix us. No matter what comes down,
there's
the doctor's going to fix it. Yeah. So we're not taking responsibility. We're putting that on our doctor, and our doctor doesn't have your best interest in terms of your health. His job is to test, diagnose, and prescribe for a specific condition that you may have. You are responsible for your overall health, and you've got to start thinking like that. There's no one coming to save you. You are responsible for your health, and so we got to change that mindset a little bit. And so that's one myth out there. The other myth is that healthy food is expensive. And that's just a myth. We got to stay on the outside aisles of the grocery store to where that is very nutrient-laden food, and stay out of the middle where it's all the processed foods. But like I said, we also got to understand that we have to we know what's going on inside the body. We're learning more every day. And so we got to go and do research and understand the products that are available right now that have the most bang for our buck in improving our health, and do that on a consistent basis.
Can you give us a couple examples of what one of those products might be and how it might help? Obviously, again, no health claims being made, but talk a little bit about an example or two.
Right. So I partnered with a company called LifeVantage. LifeVantage is pioneering this whole nutrigenomic technology, and I've come out with some award-winning products that are scientifically validated. You may have seen them on the news. They've been featured in newscasts. There's been dozens and dozens of research studies published in different scientific articles and medical journals on their products. But so they're really attacking the onslaught of aging, because when you look at a lot of dysfunctions inside the body, they're kind of age related, and we all age. There's no escaping it, right? And we're not even aware that our body starts to age about age 20. Most of us, that if you happen to be in your 20s, you think you're indestructible.
Yes, I remember that.
Right? So once you get to 30s and 40s, you start to wake up and you're like, wait a minute, I used to have hair right here, or my knees all of a sudden started creaking, and I'm moving slower. I can't recover as fast and so you're starting to experience that. And so since everyone experiences that, they've really targeted some of those main theories of aging, and they're called theories, although we're pretty sure that's what's going on in the body. For example, something called oxidative stress. This is the bread and butter right here, because oxidative stress is a buildup of free radical damage inside the body. And it just comes through normal living activities, breathing oxygen, the food that we eat, and convert that to energy. One of the byproducts are these free radicals that damage our cells. And so most of us know of antioxidants. And we know that antioxidants are good. Things like blueberries or dark chocolate, red wine are high in antioxidants. And so that's what we've turned to. But what we've found out is that's like squirting a squirt gun on a house fire. It's really not making an impact inside of our body, considering how many free radicals we produce each day. And so what they did is they came up with a product that actually kind of turns on the sprinkler system inside of our bodies. It's actually a much more potent and powerful mechanism, flipping those switches in our DNA and telling our own cells to protect themselves from this free radical damage. And we can see this in the lab. We can see it over and over again. It's been tested over and over that it actually has a million times more impact than that blueberry that you're popping into your mouth. And that has a significant impact on our health.
That is absolutely incredible. I know that's only one example and you have dozens. What is it about the products that this company is making that make them so much better than the millions of pills, potions, lotions, and supplements that are already out on the marketplace?
Right. It really comes down to the science. They are the gold standard when it comes to this. There are pharmaceutical companies racing to try to reproduce what this company has with natural compounds. And the science is irrefutable. I mean, you have the National Institute of Health, American Heart Association, you have Ohio State University, Virginia Commonwealth University, Texas Tech, the list goes on and on. Well-known universities that you've heard of are spending their own money to study these specific name brand products. You just don't see that every day. So when someone says, oh, I know a company that makes something like that, I say, well, show me the research. And they really don't have companies investing millions of their own money to study their product. They're studying these products. And that's why it's getting national news attention, and it appears on things like ABC Primetime and the Today Show. These products are proven to work.
That is absolutely fascinating. So you partnered with this company that's bringing these amazing products to market. Talk a little bit about kind of like, I know, again, I'm going to say it over and over, we're not making any health claims, but talk a little bit about some of the results you've seen of these products getting consumed and the changes that are coming about in people's lives.
Well, really, when you harness this new genomic technology and you tackle things like oxidative stress, or you may have heard of mitochondria, another critical component in our bodies that have to do with our energy levels, with our inner system communication. You may have heard recently a newer discovery of something called NAD out there. NAD, if you lost all the NAD in your body right now, you'd drop dead. So NAD is an important function, but all these things decline as we get older. And so when you are supporting your own body's mechanisms to keep producing these compounds, these critical proteins and enzymes in your body, you're really improving your overall body. Now, a lot of people say, well, I have this disease or bumpkus of the rumpus or whatever.
I've never heard that before. That is awesome.
And I'm like, look, like you said, we can't claim that it's going to help, but something powerful happens when you activate your body in this manner. And so I've heard thousands and thousands of testimonials, and they're all over the board. It just depends on your DNA, because everybody's DNA is different. But regardless of whether you have a condition or not, it's going to help support all those healthy functions in your body much longer, so that we can increase what we call your health span, which is staying healthy as long as possible.
Can you talk about, again, I know, can we talk a little bit about some of the things people might be using these for? Because when our listeners, our viewers hear oxidative stress or NAD, they may have mitochondria, they may have a vague generic idea of what that means and why it's important, but they may go, what does it have to do with my knee hurting? Or what does it have to do with my chronic pain? What does it have to do with my heart disease, my blood sugar, my diabetes, whatever? Obviously, we're not saying that these treat or cure any of those diseases, but what might somebody use some of these things to help alleviate?
Well, and all they have to do is really go and do their own research. Type in Google, type in NRF2 activation, and see all the health benefits. Type in NAD, type in mitochondria, and see what they have to do with certain functions of the body. So, for example, a lot of those things have a direct correlation to inflammation. Inflammation has been called the silent killer, and it has to do with so many, it's got a relationship with so many diseases and dysfunctions. So when you're dealing with that at a cellular level, it could have a huge impact on not only your general health, but may have an impact on some of these dysfunctions or malfunctions inside of our body as well. So I invite your audience to go and do their own research and really see for themselves how there's a relationship between things like oxidative stress, mitochondria, NAD, to things like inflammation or whatever disease or dysfunction that you're curious about.
All right. Now, you are speaking, you are lecturing, you are educating healthcare professionals about these things. How did that come about?
Well, it takes 50 years for it to actually reach the medical community. And so what we found is that doctors aren't necessarily, they don't have the time to keep up on all this latest and greatest research. And the other thing we discovered is that in medical school, doctors are actually taught very little about nutrition. They maybe get 15 minutes to a couple hours of general nutrition training. They are not nutritionists. There's a whole other field, dietitians and nutritionists that do study that. Doctors, they study medicine, which means what I said before, which is how to test, diagnose, and prescribe for specific diseases. So they have very little training on that. So what we found is they have an interest. It's just they don't have the time, and they weren't taught that in medical school. And so we kind of fill that gap by teaching them, hey, look at the science. The science is real. It's proven to do this inside of the body. And a lot of them are then incorporating that into their practices every day, because they don't want to see you in their office. They'd rather people be healthy. Some people think, oh, well, doctors just out there to make money and they want people to stay sick. And what we found, that's a myth. That's generally not true. Most doctors are generally in it to help people, and would rather you stay healthy and stay out of their office. So we found that many of them, not all of them, are very open to taking a look at this technology. Others, again, they just kind of rely what they were taught in medical school, that supplement. They're taught in medical school that supplements are hogwash. They do nothing. And that is actually generally true. 98% of what you find in GNC and some other places really don't do much. Doctors and research tells us they give you nothing but expensive pee, that your body can't absorb that nutrition, and so it just gets it right out of your system. And again, but there's exceptions. There's 98% of that is true, but the 2%, there's things that actually do good for your body, and that's what we're there educating doctors on.
Wow. So that's absolutely incredible. Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
Well, it's really helping people, because I get phone calls, texts, handwritten letters every day from people saying, thank you. Thank you for teaching me that this was out there and available, because it had a direct impact either on my health or a loved one's health. And that's more important to me than the money we make doing it. We call it emotional income, that, it just really makes us feel good.
I love that. I'm going to swipe that term. I've never heard it phrased that way before. I love it.
Yep. Emotional income. It's better than money.
Awesome. And then for our viewers or listeners who want to learn more, where is the best place for us to send them about this?
Well, sure. One place to go to is BioHackYour.Life. And you can learn more about these products and the business behind it. You could also go to taketheyellowpill.com.
I love the Matrix reference.
Yes. Taketheyellowpill.com. You can learn all about the products and the science behind them.
That is absolutely awesome. What else do you want to share with our audience that I didn't think to ask you?
Well, we're teaching others to share this information, because they're not going to hear it from their doctor. And so there's a whole business side of this as well, where the company will pay you commissions for sharing information on this. And so a lot of people right now in this time are trying to insulate themselves from the economy. And it's always nice to have another source of income. So we attract a lot of small business owners and everyday people who want to create another income source for themselves. It's all e-commerce driven, so it's not like you're buying these products and trying to sell them out.
No garage full of supplements.
Yeah. So you're not selling it out of the trunk of your car. Let's put it that way. It's everything's a direct-to-consumer model. You just get paid for sharing the information with others, teaching them about this nutrigenomic technology, and when they take advantage, then you get compensated.
Awesome. Well, this has been Seth Greene here with Brian Highfield from BioHackYour.Life or taketheyellowpill.com. Brian, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely, Sal. Thank you for having me.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. Make sure you go check out Brian's sites and help improve your health.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.